Alright guys, this video is a little bit of a project in a project because we're working on the gun safe and I don't have a welding table here at my new place. So what do we got here? It's a Dewalt table saw stand. You see I don't really need it anymore because I made this. So I have this just kicking around with no use. So basically I'm just gonna take some angle iron and some plate steel and I'm gonna I gotta build it up because it's obviously lower for the height of the table saw to where I'd want it to be. So I'm gonna build it up, do a little framing with the angle iron, and then I'm just gonna run some plate steel over the top of it. And then I'm just gonna use the bolt holes that hold the table saw on to hold the angle to it, and we'll have a rolling portable leg fold out welding table that I can set up real quick in my garage. So out in the shop we got all our angle iron. We got some extra I could make this welding table out of. Over here we got our plate steel. So basically I think it's probably roughly 8 inches wide by 1/8 inch. So we got plenty of that. Well, as you can see, I mean, obviously this thing's a little lower than I'd want it. We're looking at probably roughly 21 by 33 maximum, probably make this. We're gonna build it up to probably this height. So that's about another, we'll call it a foot. So we're gonna make this thing, well, I'd like to go a little higher than that so we clear it. So 13 inches, run a piece of angle iron here, probably connect them on the sides for rigidity. Then just run up 4 legs on each corner, angle iron around it, put in like probably 2 cross members, plate steel over top of it, call it a day. These are basically the tools I'm going to use for the steel portion of the project. So I got a Milwaukee, it's a bandsaw, it's 5 inches, the biggest one they make. I got the quarter one, just a little cheaper, but that thing is amazing for cutting through steel, a lot quicker than an angle grinder, and you can actually be a lot more accurate. So also the angle grinder, this could all be done with an angle grinder. You don't have to have this, but I just like that a lot better and it's a little more handy for me. Obviously your welding equipment, I got my mask, gloves, clamps, magnet holders, got welding wire, I got high performance enamel for coating it so it doesn't rust after you coat your welds. We got cutting discs, we got flap discs, we got wire discs, you name it. Got my Lincoln electric welder over here. It's got a 140 weld pack. This thing's it's just a great little welder for your garage or whatever, and does the trick. And it runs right off a 110, so it's perfect. I always use a face shield one. It's a OSHA rule for commercial anything, but just for my personal use, I've got metal fragments in my eye before just wearing safety glasses. Stuff will bounce off the stuff you're working on, your chest, you name it, when you're grinding with an angle grinder. So I always wear this to protect my eyes because getting a metal shaving was really freaking uncomfortable. I had to go to the ER and do all this crap. So wear this. So what we got here, we have our 33-inch pieces, which will be for the long runs, the bottom ones that mount, and then the top ones. We have our 21-inch pieces, which are the side ones, so we have 2 for each side, and then 2 for the top. And then these are 13-inch pieces, which will be our verticals, which will go from the bottom one to the top one to raise our bench up. We're gonna weld this box here to get it all square and stuff, and then we'll just set it on it and mark the holes and drill them and then put the bolts through. Now before we weld this, obviously you can see the stuff is pretty rusted. It's old, just crap I had laying around. We're gonna hit it with the wire wheel on the angle grinder to just clean off the spots we're gonna weld. We'll clean this all up later and coat it all with paint, but got it all grinded down. You can see I got my magnetic angle clamps on here, so they're holding the piece in place where I want it to sit. We're gonna get these 2 sides tacked, and then we'll do the other side. Then we'll just get some longer welds on them, and then be able to move to doing the vertical legs. So we get a few tack welds on this just to hold it in place, and then we'll do the same thing to the other piece on the other side. All right, well the base is all welded up, so we're gonna flip it over, and then we're gonna start welding up the vertical pieces and also getting the bolts anchored into the stand itself. All right, so now we're gonna mark our bolt holes. There should be two, one here and here, and then also right there and there. So we're gonna get those marked up, drill them, and then we'll start erecting the rest of this. There we go, we got our 4 bolts in it. It is pretty damn solid. I am not tightening it up all the way though, just because I want to be able to take it off to paint it after. So my plan here, as you can see, I have these all clamped standing up. I'm going to make sure they're all level and stuff like that. We're going to weld the bottoms down here on each corner. And then what we're going to do is we're going to level and draw a line on all these, and we're going to cut them so they're the same exact height, because there is a little bit of an imperfection because I had to use that piece of angle, which is thinner. We're going to just cut all these tops down, all 4 of them. Once we get them all welded in, we'll figure out exactly what's level and cut them down. So now we're going to go to getting the frame around the top, and then we'll go to putting some plate on it. So I did just go around and I marked all my corners. I just measured up, I just pulled 13 inches off the bottom piece so that they're all the same height. I marked them. I'm going to just cut them down so they're all the same height, and the table will be level because of that. Because I did level the base. See, I have a piece of wood under the leg over there. So this thing was level. That's what I based everything off of. Now for the longer top rails, they're just going to sit right on top of this angle, just like so. Shorter ones will go on the sides. We're going to probably have to notch these so that it stays level, but it'll go like this. We'll notch this out so that it's sitting flush at the top of this so the plate steel can sit on top. And then we're going to make intermediates that'll go flush but in the middles. So just to give that plate steel a little more support. So I got my notches cut so it sits flush now at the top. Now we're just going to weld it in. Now the frame's complete, all welded up. Now you might be wondering what this piece of threaded rod is for. Well, I'm going to use it as a ground clamp spot, because so basically this used to come off of that thing. This was in a mechanical room at a hospital for a heat exchanger, and they had piping. So these were basically racking that held the piping up. So we took all this out, and that's why there's a bunch of this threaded rod and stuff on it. So basically this is just a spot you can stick your ground on. So if you're welding on the table, it'll ground through the table basically. So you don't have to like attach your ground clamp to the piece that you're working on. So we got this piece that we're going to use as our center intermediate piece support. And you can see it actually ends up fitting perfectly. It was an extra piece I had cut off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to notch it so that I can bring it up to flush, and then I can actually sit the plate on it and weld it to this as well. So we're going to notch it real quick. Just mark where our notches need to be. Here and here. And we should be good to go. All right, welds are all ground down so our plate will sit flat. Now we're going to take this thing off the base. We're going to put it over there and paint it. And then as we're waiting for that to dry, we'll cut these. Now these are the pieces of plate steel we got. They're 7 inches wide. So basically if you put 3 of them, it's pretty much perfect for what we need. Actually this one's 8, these 2 are 8 inches, this one's 7 inches, but you want a little overhang so that you can use your clamps on this lip and this lip. And then I'll probably overhang it on each side the other way too. So we're gonna probably do an inch overhang, draw some lines, and then we're gonna cut it to size, and then we're gonna start tacking it to the table. Now to get the length of this, our frame is 33, we're gonna add 2, so That'll have an inch overhang per side, so we're gonna do 35 inches right here. Mark it with my soapstone and draw a line. All right, we hit this with a flap disc real quick, 80 grit, just rough it up, get any of the big rust stuff off. Now we're gonna hit it with some Rust-Oleum high performance enamel, flat black. This is like my go-to for stuff like this, and just give it a good coat. She's all painted up. Looks a lot nicer all black, and now we're gonna cut these. Now I'm gonna cut these with my angle grinder, and to get a nice straight cut, I'm gonna take a piece of just bar stock, and I'm gonna line it up on this line, and then just cut along it to get my first groove started, so it's nice and straight, and then the angle grinder will follow that groove the rest of the way through. All right, well, we got it bolted back up on it. It's all painted and it looks pretty sweet like this, not gonna lie. So now we're gonna take our flap disc on our grinder. We're gonna take some of that paint off to where we have to weld the plates to for the top, because obviously you don't really want to weld through paint if you don't have to. So we're gonna quickly buff those over, put the plates on. We're gonna paint the undersides of the plates, but you don't want to paint the top because you want things to sit on it, be able to conduct electricity through it easily for grounding it. So we're gonna leave the top plain. We're just gonna sand it, and then we're gonna coat it with WD-40 oil to keep it from rusting. So we got this plate lined up where we want it with how much we want it to overhang and that whatnot. So we're gonna go ahead and weld this plate in, and then we'll line up the rest of them off of this. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just laying roughly like a 1 to 2 inch bead. All right, guys, well, we're done. So I took my sanding flap disc and did all the top to get all the slag off and even it out where the welds were. Came out pretty good. The only thing left to do is, this is what I get, the non-aerosol WD-40. I spray it right on. This is what will keep it from rusting and also keep it bare metal, so you don't have to paint this. So then now when I would do projects, I can sit them right on top, and I can use the table with the knob over here to ground it, and I don't have to actually clip my ground onto what I'm welding. So there it is. It's all set, guys. We got it painted. We got oil on the top, and it's looking good. I hope this, guys, was a good video for you guys. If you're looking to do something like this, give us a like and a subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos like these, and have a good day.